Welcome to the Perfect Match Wrap Up. I am one of your hosts, Jason Reed. With me is my island partner, my island co-host, Kirsten MacInnis. Kirsten, how are you?
I'm great, Jason. I'm so excited to talk about Perfect Match Season 2. And I honestly, this could be some of the most unhinged podcasting that this network has ever seen because we're both messes and they don't have anyone to rein us in this time.
Yeah, our most responsible team member here on the on the Perfect Match Wrap Up is not with us this go round. So the chaos will reign here with the two of us, unsupervised and not looked after. We're here to talk, but I mean, listen, why wouldn't we have anything other than the most unserious co-hosts for the podcast for anything other than the most unserious show on Netflix? It's the mess all stars of the Netflix universe in Perfect Match. So it's kind of the perfect synergy here.
And I just want to say up front, I forgot how much I love this show. Like I remembered, it was good. The podcasts were fun. It was all good. And then I was like, wait a second. I love this show. It's so good. So if anyone is listening but maybe hasn't watched yet, I recommend watching it because this is very fun.
Yeah, it's fun mess. I mean, the most of the Netflix shows take themselves a little too seriously at times. This show semi attempts that just to tell us, hey, all these people are looking for their perfect match, the person they could ride off into the sunset with. But the facade is very easily broken, and it's basically just a bunch of drunk idiots looking to hook up and just have fun for the whole season. That's pretty much the crux of this show.
They pretend it's serious, and then every time a new man comes in, is asking if they have a foreskin or not. And it's like, well, how
Yeah,
are you going to pretend this is serious? Like,
yeah, a
so
lot,
weird.
a lot of foreskin talk, which I just did. I did not put that on the bingo card of Perfect
I,
Match
I
season two.
I wasn't ready for it. I really wasn't. And I also was like, listen, I'm not a person that has a penis. So you're gonna have to tell me. Like, is this something men talk about? Like, are you all just like, okay, so like how many foreskins in the room?
It's not something. I think I've probably uttered the words foreskin probably about maybe three times in my whole life, and never to like
And two
just
of them
another.
are on this podcast.
Yeah, just to another bro chilling out. It's like, what's your foreskin sitch, buddy? Like, what's going on with your downstairs parts? I've never had that conversation in my life.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting though, because I mean, as long as we're talking about foreskin, it's a different culture, different parts of the world, and a lot of these people are from different areas of the world. So that was a really like interesting thing to bring up in that way. I don't know if that's why it was brought up or that's
I
how
don't
the foreskin was brought.
somehow I don't think that's
It's so weird though. It's like I think Harry is the main person here bringing it up, and then Brighton just kind of takes it and runs with it, and it was a mess. It was very
it,
odd and very weird.
it's very odd and very weird. And I'm sorry to the listeners that I brought up the
It was
foreskins in the
almost
first
as
3 minutes of the
uncomfortable.
podcast.
Yeah, it was almost as uncomfortable for me as it was for Nick Lachey when he had to witness people bringing it up when he
You
when
could
he
tell.
yeah.
He's like,
His mind like malfunctioned. I mean, Nick is already running on autopilot on this show as it is, and
yeah.
to throw in something like that to his vocabulary, to his senses, really kind of threw him off in the moment. You could really tell.
Okay, and speaking of Nick Lachey, can I ask a question about him as someone who's I do not watch Love is Blind. I've
Mm.
famously said like I will like it too much. And I am like saving the world from my takes on the show when I get
Mm-hmm.
into it.
You'll get to
Um
invest it.
I thought that Nick Lachey's wife also hosted these shows with him. Is she no longer present?
Well, if you remember, Vanessa was not there last season for Perfect Match either. It was just Nick last season
Oh,
as
right,
well.
and I thought they broke up, and then I caused, like, a
Yeah, it was an
commotion. Yeah, yeah,
international
yeah.
incident. So Vanessa took a look at this show. She's like, you know what, Nick? I think you can handle this one on your own. I think
Oh
you
my
got it.
god.
So I guess this isn't serious enough for Vanessa to come on. I know Vanessa, is on a NCIS show. NCIS
Oh,
Hawaii that just I believe got canceled, so maybe we'll see her on Perfect Match season 3 if she's not doing anything else with her life. So yeah, Nick rides solo on this one, and for some reason they just keep shoving him down our throats when the game needs explaining. Now I've always said like, why do we need Nick to come in and explain the show every single time there's a turning point incident when we have mingling, when we have a boardroom? But I just think maybe these people are probably a little little too drunk / dumb
Yeah.
enough to forget why they're here. So they do need someone to guide them and remind them what they're supposed to be doing. So maybe Nick does serve a purpose here.
Yeah, some of these like prestige reality shows have like limited alcohol per day for everybody. Like on the challenge, they get like the one bottle of vodka that's like dyed blue or whatever.
Yeah.
Netflix shows are like, no, blackout. We don't care.
No,
Like
there is a
it's
minimum
totally
that the
fine.
shows, there's a minimum these contestants have to reach every day for this
It's an
show to
8-drink
function.
minimum.
Yes, like you need to down at least 8 drinks to keep filming on this show. Or we will kick you off. That's the way it is. Okay, that's how Netflix and this show, 100% operates. So let's get into the show. Okay, let's start the beginning of the show. We get our starting lineup. We get our character intros. I'm really interested to see who of the two of us knows who and who doesn't. Because I feel like Kirsten, me and you's paths are kind of parallel, right? Like I'm into the big dating, you're into the big mess. So we'll get into who we know and who we don't as we go along.
Just a disclaimer. Mm-hmm. There are people that I've seen on their shows, but do I know them? No, because I only can keep so much mess in my brain. Like I have to like rinse it out. Yeah. So it's like I'm like, yeah, I've seen you before, but like, do I know?
I've definitely got a couple of those. Going on. Okay, so we're meeting our people. We're getting them one by one, sometimes in pairs, whatever. First person we meet is Tolu. She is from the Trust. Now, did you watch the Trust?
I did not watch The Trust. Did you watch The Trust?
I did not watch The Trust. So neither of us know Tolu, but I right off the bat, I'll tell you, I love Tolu. I love the energy immediately, and she's really a great character. She her little Chiron as she walks in is main character energy, and I can definitely see that. So Tolu comes in. She's she's the first person. She's by herself. No one else is there. We then get introduced to Steven. Yeah. I couldn't. His name was spelled Steven, but they kept calling him Stefan. So I was like, which one is it?
Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's a real name or not, or if I'm allowed to judge what's a real name. I do know Steven from Too Hot to Handle. Mm-hmm. I remember basically like his face and a visceral dislike kind of vibe. Like, I think he was not super successful on Too Hot to Handle. Like, I think there was like no one for him, or maybe like one person for him. I don't think he did like much, but I remember him saying he thinks he looks like Pete Davidson, and then he gets compared to Machine Gun Kelly, and I'm like,
yeah,
well, just like by the visually impaired, like
I mean, just because you have tattoos does not mean you are the same as those people that have tattoos. That is the only like thing that you all have in common. So I don't like. I guess that is why he gets told he looks like those people, because all those people have a lot of tattoos. But as far as I can tell, he doesn't really resemble those other people.
No, not.
I like how he did call himself Squirt Gun Kelly. I like how he's a little self-deprecating in that way.
I did laugh at that.
Yes. We also meet one of the bigger douchebags we have seen in reality TV in some time, Brighton from the Squid Games. We have to put Squid Games, the challenge, after we talk about Squid Games, the reality show, for some reason. I guess it's copyright things. I don't know.
Licensing, I guess.
Yeah, he was on Squid Games, the challenge. He was, I think, participant 432, something like that. He was a real douchebag on his original show, and he's a real douchebag here, as you'll see. He loves to refer to himself in the third person, which should be your first red alarm right there. So he comes in really full of himself, as he likes to do. I did watch Squid Games, the challenge, and I am aware of all of Brighton's mess and shenanigans, which he was a douche, which is why he's on this show. We next get Micah from Love is Blind. She's in her post-pod era, as the Chiron tells us. I am familiar with Micah. You obviously are not, because you don't watch Love is Blind. Micah had quite a run on Love is Blind. I can definitely see why she is here. She has a little bit of mean girl energy that she portrays.
Oh, is she the bully?
Yeah, she's one of the bullies.
Is that from the season with the two bullies? Okay, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, she is one of the two bullies. She had mean girl energy on her show, but then ended her show in heartbreak. So I think that's a good reason why she's here. She kind of got those two things going on for her. So interested to see what Micah is going through and through. Oh, I think we should mention as well. We had our first drop was a 6-episode drop, but we are only going to be doing episodes 1 through 3 on this podcast. We will be doing 4 through 6 on another podcast to be released in a couple days. So we just kind of wanted to break it up a little bit. We don't want to have to cover 6 whole episodes in one podcast, so we're just kind of
It's
breaking it up a little bit.
impossible.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's literally, I've done it with Love Island in the past, and it's just
Mhm.
like, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then like no fun. So it's much
Yes.
better that we're splitting it up.
Yeah, so Micah's here. She's going to be getting the shenanigans. She'll be behind some of the more interesting moments of the night. I'll say that. Dominique from Too Hot to Handle. Kirsten, what do you have on Dominique?
She is one of the people that goes on the show that's very much like, I'm here to get sexual. I like want to explore that. I think she's a lot of fun. But she does get, these shows love to bring on like a bisexual woman to then treat them like a display and not like a human being. And she very much, I feel like, got that treatment in Too Hot to Handle and maybe in this as well.
Yeah, we'll share a moment later that I think it was actually really good to put on television
Mhm.
to really kind of explain things. We also meet Kaz from Dated and Related. Is that a show that you watched?
I did not watch all of Dated and Related, but
Mm,
I'm pretty sure I went on Nothing But Netflix to talk about at least the first couple episodes of it
okay.
with Rob and Chappelle. Maybe we talked about all of it. I couldn't tell you how it ends, but it was probably the grossest premise for any
Yeah.
show
So
I've
I
talked
mean,
about.
for those that aren't familiar, Dated and Related is basically one of the shows that sounds typical at first. A bunch of horny singles get together and date and mingle, but in this show, a lot of all the singles are there with either their brother or sister or another relative of theirs as they all go on a journey together. So makes for a lot of I'm sure awkward and weird television. Kaz was there with his brother, who we'll talk about as one of the other people that are going to join. Dated his brother at the same time as he was on the show. Interesting.
Mhm.
So we'll get to Kaz, who seems to be somewhat of a ladies' man, a very promiscuous sex guy. So we'll get to that as we go through this journey here.
Yeah, he's got some big game that he's talking about his sexual
Some
prowess,
big games.
which
uh,
I'm gonna put my foot down right now. I don't think it's true. I
well,
think it's a
listen,
lie, and I don't think it's even like biologically possible.
Listen, the loud ones are always the worst ones, okay? And the quiet ones are the ones you gotta watch out for. So I think as much as Kaz Bravado likes to portray, I think probably it's not as great as he might have you think. I think that that great sex cookie he talks about later is something he probably said to himself. So we we also get into Izzy from Love Is Blind. Izzy was interesting on his shows Love Is Blind. He was someone that actually a few women were fighting over in the pods
Oh,
before
okay.
everything went. And so Izzy's interesting that his relationship kind of crash and burn a little bit like Micah's. So that's the reason he's here. His Love Is Blind journey did not work out well once he got to the altar for various reasons. As you'll notice, he has amazing credit now on his Chiron because his credit score was a big bone of contention on Love Is
Oh,
Blind at a certain point in his show. He seemed to lie about some of his financials and how he was doing in life, which is one of the reasons his bride decided to turn him down at the altar. So,
okay. I was like, why is this man here? He seems like just a normal man. Like he's not like
mhm,
ugly, but he's not like super hot in the like Netflix reality way.
yeah.
He seems like a little bit older, like he would maybe want to actually settle down. Now you're telling me about his extracurricular activities. I'm like, oh, so he's he's just like the rest of them.
Yes, yeah, he's a little bit of an F boy, as it turns out, as well.
Wow.
He does tell us his Netflix universe crush is on Micah, so you know, fireworks you might think would fly, but we'll see. We also get Elise from Too Hot to Handle. Her Chiron is mad or horny. I'm not really sure why. Kirsten, maybe you can tell me why.
I can't explain that. But she is from the most recent season of Too Hot to Handle, and she definitely like she loves to lead with like, I look innocent, but I'm actually so horny. And it's like I this isn't probably the podcast to unpack it, but I think it's really telling that she's just like, because I am blonde with blue eyes, I look like a good girl, but I'm not. Like, I think that maybe some learning and unlearning needs to be done over there.
Okay, that'll be an interesting thing to explore as we go through Elisa's journey here on the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Next, we get Xanthi from The Circle. Now, I watched The Circle. I recognize the name. I recognize the face. I could not tell you a single thing Xanthi did on her season of The Circle, and that might be a more of the Circle problem than anything else because they throw all these archetypes in all the time. They all start to blur. And I can't remember anything Xanthi ever did on her show. She's no longer a catfish. She goes for the bad boys as her introduction. What did you watch The Circle? And if you did, I think you did. I'm pretty sure you did.
I
What do you remember of Xanthi?
Okay, I used to watch The Circle, but I fell off like pretty early and I haven't watched it in a few
Mm.
seasons. So I'm pretty sure I have not seen Xanthi before. But honestly, through 3 episodes of Perfect Match, I feel like she's kind of giving nothing. So it's
She's giving
fine.
nothing, and I'm not sure she knows what show she signed up for.
Yeah, she didn't know she was going on the horny show,
Yeah,
obviously, because she's like unwilling to kiss people.
right. So
So
yeah, I have nothing really of note for Xanthi of her previous journey on Netflix because I just don't remember anything she did that was interesting or fun, whatever.
was she a catfish on The Circle?
She apparently was because her thing is no longer a catfish, but I honestly can't remember what she did on The Circle.
Okay,
Um,
I'm googling. Who did she play as? Why is it I googled Xanthi and it's showing me a picture of Brett from Big Brother.
oh,
So I guess they teamed up when they were on the challenge together.
on the challenge,
Not the challenge, The Circle. Sorry.
Brett. Yeah,
Like,
I have no memory.
do you remember? But like,
Oh,
you know
I
who I
think they
mean
may
when I
have
say
both. They may have both been eliminated, and they may have both had to team up as a different player once they both got eliminated. That is
oh
ringing a little bit of a bell.
yeah, I'm seeing a picture of them in a room together on The Circle. So there, we
Yeah,
figured it out.
yeah. I think they both got eliminated, and so they both had to team up as a new player. Is what I think. Is what I'm remembering. Yes, I am. It's coming back to me now.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
so these 9 people come in. We think
Yeah.
at the moment it's like, hey, these are all of our starting lineup. Everyone's getting together to mingle. But then our heavy hitter of the season starts to enter the villa. It is none other than Harry Jowsey from Too Hot to Handle. Now I have maybe watched. I tried to watch a couple episodes Too Hot to Handle when it first came out, and then I kind of dropped off it. I do know the name Harry. I do know that he has a reputation for being the worst. Kirsten, what is
Yeah.
your take on Harry, and how have you uh, come to know Harry throughout the years?
Yeah, so Harry's from season 1.
Mm.
Season 1 is the one where they all won at the end. So I guess he did get like $6,000 from Netflix. He on Too Hot to Handle was with Francesca, who was on last season of Perfect Match, and he is the worst. It's literally like I talked with Rob for season 1 of Too Hot to Handle, and it was like I was like, this is the hottest man on the show, and therefore he is probably the worst person we've
Yeah,
ever met. And he has like held up on that quite well. He's like big F boy energy. He's admitting that like Dom's like girlfriends cheat on him with Harry,
yep.
and he doesn't seem to have much remorse for that at all.
He
And
wears it
I
as a badge
think
of honor. Really, he does.
yeah. More recently, he was on Dancing with the Stars and he got eliminated on the Taylor Swift week because he did not show like appropriate respect to Taylor Swift and the Swifties took him out.
Wow. Okay.
But I think he also lasted like too long on Dancing with the Stars, but was like getting carried by his TikTok following because he is like a legitimately kind of famous person at this point from all of his time
Well,
on TV.
if there's one thing we know about people is that they love toxic energy and toxic idiots. So unfortunately. So yeah, he tells us he had 3 exes on the first season of Perfect Match in Georgia, Chloe, and remind me of the other one,
Francesca.
Francesca. Right.
Yeah.
So Harry's kind of our Francesca. I think Francesca came into season 1 as the big
Yeah.
the big name of the Netflix universe, and Harry is definitely our big name this season because he comes in last. And when he comes in, everyone's jaw drops because everyone knows exactly who this guy is. So he is the big get of this season. And right from the get, everyone knows what Harry's reputation is. but that won't stop people from lusting after him, obviously.
Well, and what's wild, honestly, I feel like Harry shouldn't have even done this show because he's basically saying he slept with like every straight woman that's been on a Netflix reality show already. So it's like
Mhm.
you're obviously going to deal with some mess that you're like that's not beneficial to you at all. Like I think it is a wild personal decision for him to do this show.
Well, I mean, I think he's obviously getting a paycheck. I don't know if it's similar to like the challenge pay structure. I don't know if he gets more of an appearance fee for coming on this show than
Mm,
anyone else. He gets a vacation in Tulum for 3 weeks or so. He gets
so
to hook up with
beautiful.
random women. I mean, I don't know if Harry really cares of his reputation, what his reputation is, or if he actually likes the fact that his reputation is in the toilet. Because seemingly, the more the toilet his reputation gets, the more famous he gets. So I could definitely see why Harry would agree to something like this.
Yeah, I guess. But then he's like, I'm dating for marriage. I want to like find a. I'm like, stop
and he can
lying to me.
and he can't stop smiling as he says this stuff because he knows he's lying as he's saying it. He has this little like he can almost not stop from bursting out laughing
Yep.
as he's saying this false nonsense. So we get to meet everyone. They're all mingling together, and then here comes Nick, our
Yes.
daddy of perfect match. He comes like the superficial father that comes in and leaves all the kids down in the basement to party or whatever. he, he explains the game and how the competition works. And I think they really missed the mark by not calling this like dating musical chairs. Like I think that's just kind of what the basis of this show is in a way.
Honestly, like Nick Lachey was at like a children's birthday party and they played musical chairs, and he was like, "What
Got
if
it.
we made this horny?" And like that could be something.
He tells Vanessa, and she's like, "Oh, you can do that one on your own. I'm out on
Yeah,
that one."
I'm out on that one.
So he gives the rules, and basically, the rules make it sound so complicated. Um, but he gives the lowdown, and the winner gets the winner gets like a big cruise or a big sex trip or whatever. And
Yeah.
is there a cat? There's not a cash prize, right?
I feel like they didn't tell us last time, and then it ultimately was a vacation, and
Yeah.
then I think the winning couple didn't even like they broke up before they even went on the vacation, I think.
Yeah, I don't because it was Dom and Georgia won last
Yeah.
season, and I do believe that I don't think they even went on the trip. And as Harry will tell us, Georgia ended up cheating on Dom with him, so that didn't last very long.
My memory of season 1 is that like it didn't really seem like Dom and Georgia were that
Well,
connected at all and that they won just kind of out of nowhere.
yeah, there's so much switching that goes on in this show that by the end, you almost really don't feel like any of the couples are real couples. I think the only couple that was real was Joey and Carousel at the end
Mm,
game, and it was kind of weird that they didn't win because they were the couple that stayed
yes.
together the whole season. Now, of course, Joey and Carousel are no longer anyway, so that
They dated for a while though, I think.
yeah, for a minute, but they're no longer together. And the big ending of that season was Joey proposing to Carousel, and they didn't win the show by being the perfect match. So, from what you can see of Perfect Match One, the show was unserious the whole way through.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Period.
Yeah, so Nick's here, he explains everything, and we're going to get the ball rolling with a little game called Let It Roll. This is a kind of a dice game. There's big oversized dice with people's faces
Yeah.
on them and different actions. These different type of games out there for couples of things. You roll the dice and you do whatever the dice says, blah blah blah. What of this game? Because not much happened here. What
No.
was your big takeaway from the Let It Roll game?
The only actual thing I wrote down from Let It Roll was like the first roll when they do the body shot with
Mhm.
Micah. It was like the dumbest way. Like she put the shot between her boobs and then like
Right,
leaned over him, and it's like no, like he should be going in for that. Why are you
right.
like putting the shot on his? Like it was like the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
She spilled it all over him. Like it was just
Yeah,
it was
he didn't
a
get a shot.
poor way to do that. I
It
think
was
because
so
mostly she was wearing something that wasn't really like easy to put. Like I think a lot of people put like the shot in their belly button and make that the thing, but I think she's wearing something that wasn't really working with that. So she put it in her cleavage. But like
yeah.
you said, he should stand up and take it out of her. But I think
Yeah.
I can see the producer like, no, you have to straddle him. Guy will make it look even sexier. Which
Like it would be so much sexier if she was sitting and he straddled her and then gets the
right.
shot.
Yeah.
Like there's ways to do this, and I was just so taken aback by how ridiculous it was. There was another one I think with Xanthi and
Steven.
Steven do
Yeah.
the body shot, and she just put it between her feet, and he took the shot and then sucked her toe.
Yeah, that was another moment from that one, and it was a bunch of nonsense. This is the point where Izzy is starting to feel. He says he's starting to feel the age gap. There's a bunch of 22, 23-year olds, and he is 30, so he feels kind of left out because he doesn't party like these kids party. And throughout these first 3 episodes, Izzy will kind of go through like a midlife crisis at 30 years old and really feel like he's out of touch with the youths of today.
And mind you, Harry is 27.
Right.
Like,
So
I'm pretty sure if we pulled up the full list, like, it's actually a lot of like mid to late 20s, which to
yeah,
me is the same as 30, as a 31-year-old.
yeah, because some of these people have been around the block in the Netflix universe for a minute now, so they're definitely in their mid to late 20s. But Izzy is feeling left out. I think it's more of a personality thing than an age thing. Izzy, I just don't think that you're in this type of range as these party animals are. I don't think it really has that much to do with age. But we move anyway. So we get from the let it roll game. We're kind of like what I like to call is the mingling phase of
Yes.
of the things. This is where you're going to kind of start to get your matches. You're going to start to see who's fitting with who, and who's really going to turn out to be our first matches of the night. Now, did you think they should have started with an uneven amount of people and had someone left out by the end of this first night?
Oh. Um, no, I'm fine with not sending someone home night one. Especially since like what we know from this show now is that everyone's just back in the pool and like they
Mhm.
could come back in, and he was like, ah, let them have one night. It's kind of funny to see like the default last two still
Yeah.
pretending that they're like really asking each other
Mhm.
to match up when they have no choice. Like, I don't know. I'm fine with it. Do you think it would have been better if someone went home?
I think it would have been fun, especially since this is a thing where, like you said, we're putting people back in the pool. Like, it's not like we're sending someone home for good; they could be back, so it's not like it's a unfairness thing. I just thought it would be interesting to see who would be that first person
Mm,
out in this first night. But it kind of takes the suspense out of these mingling things, so everyone's going to be ending up with someone by end of the night.
yeah, that's true.
And with these first pairings, it was really just kind of like it almost felt like everyone was kind of rushing. They're just like, all right, you want to be our match? Let's get out of here, because there wasn't much discussion going into much of these matches. It's just like Dominique and Brighton sit down to talk, and before the game, Dominique said that she had her eyes on Brighton because Nick asked, "Does anyone have
Yeah.
anyone they're looking out for?" And Dominique says, "I like that guy." She points to Brighton. Brighton says, "He really loved that she was straight up like that." And so, just kind of out of the blue, they're just like, "Hey, you want a match?" And there's like, "Sure," and just kind of walk off. And they are our first match of the season. Dominique and Brighton are our first match here.
And they maybe should have talked more before they matched, because they are not compatible at all
But
after
I
they
think that
actually start talking.
but I think the fact that they're not compatible is what draws them to each other, which is toxic and
Mm,
weird.
yeah,
So
you're right. You're
that's
right.
I don't know if much more talking would have changed much. We do get Elise and Harry are talking.
Yeah.
They're kind of bantering. He's talking about he learned French, and he's going he's like, listen, my type hasn't worked for me before. My type is usually short, brunette, and tan, and he really wants blue-eyed children. I said,
Ugh.
what?
It's
It's like,
like we're just doing eugenics on Maine
yeah.
at this point in time. Like, it's so weird. Like, I think people just act so weird. And like, I think blue eyes are very specifically one of the things that people act extra weird about.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. Like, the minute, like, you just met someone, and if the minute they're like, oh yeah, like, I really like you because I want my kids to have blue eyes. No, run. Literally
Yeah,
run in
leave.
the other direction.
Ugh.
Go, leave the date. This is
Like,
no good.
like you said, it's giving eugenics. Okay, like,
Yeah,
not
right?
cool. Um, so this leads to Harry just asking Elise, like, "Hey, you want to match up?" She says, "Sure," and they match. There's nothing to these matches right at this moment. It's just like
And Elise
picking anyone out
said
of the
that like
crowd.
Harry, she had her eye on him like at the
Mhm.
beginning in a confessional, and it's like she like knows his reputation, but she can't resist. She like apparently he's super funny is the plot line for Harry, and I'm
Where?
like,
When?
okay,
Is
like is the humor in the room with us?
right? Like, I've yet to see it. So we then get Izza Izzy and Micah talking, and this will be a dynamic that's very interesting to follow these first 3 episodes. And Izzy, off the top, is acting like a nervous, like weird, scared
So
15-year
weird.
old. And meeting Micah out of the blue, says, "Listen, I watched your show, and I follow your TikToks. You have a dog, right? Oh man, I really love your personality." And he's just very, very awkward. Micah says, "Well, if you were to spit game to me, how would you spit game?" He says, I would ask, how are you?"
And like, just imagine if he had walked into the interaction being normal. Like, I don't think that Micah was going to go for him anyways, but like,
Right.
if he had gone and been like, "Hey, how are you? Like, I saw you have a dog. Like, tell me about your dog." Like,
Right.
that is just like a normal conversation. Whereas he's just like his palms are sweaty. He like can't look her in the eyes. It's just obviously not a vibe that's going to work for, like, no one wants to go on a date or couple up with someone who can't talk to them like a human
Right.
being.
He literally just word vomited at her when he met her. It's like, "Here are all the things I like about you. Do you like me?" And if he was just natural with it and just kind of let the conversation flow
Yeah.
naturally, I think it would have come off as much better. Michael does say that she definitely got the ick. I don't know if the ick is right for the situation. Do you think that she should have got the ick from this? This is just like,
I
he's weird, but I don't know about the ick. I think anyone meeting Harry should have the ick, but I don't know if Izzy's really giving the ick.
well, okay, wait. So like, to me, the ick just means it's like you're talking with someone and something comes up where you're like, "Oh, I could never see them romantically. I have the ick. It's over." And so I'm like, yeah, I would probably have the ick if someone like I when I was on dating apps, I matched with someone who like immediately was like, "My mom really loves RHAP," and like wanted to talk like that. This
Oh
literally
no.
it's the weirdest thing that's ever happened. They're like, "My mom really likes RHAP, like she would love you, like this is the best." And I was just like,
Now, see,
no,
I,
like,
I could definitely see the ick there. I could definitely see the ick because that's a
and I
little
feel
too
like it's the same.
personal. It's
I feel
weird.
like it's the same thing though, where he's like, "I like follow you on social media and I like know about you before we've even met." And like, I ended up never meeting that person ever.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess it is weird if they're like, "I'm stalking you on social media." That would be a little iffy. I thought the ick was always just something that was like off, just way off, like off base. Like if Harry's
okay.
talking about foreskin on your first date, that would be the ick. But just Izzy being like awkward and odd, I didn't think would have given the ick. But I guess you're right saying the whole social media thing would be a little much for our
I
first meeting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. And also it's just like it's not a level playing field in this
Mhm.
show like when it comes to attractiveness and personality. Like it just doesn't seem like Izzy is the best in either category, so he's just always going to have a harder time. He maybe should have warmed up by talking to someone he didn't already have a crush on, and
Yeah.
maybe he would have been able to act normal with
Yeah.
Micah.
Micah says, Izzy seems like a good guy, but he's just a little too nerdy for her. So, all right. Go ahead and go off with the Harry and see how you feel about that.
Listen, no need to hate on nerds. Like,
Not at all.
that's come on.
Yeah. As a nerd, I take offense to that. Um, so we then get Micah and Kaz talking. Kaz tells her, "Listen, you and Xanthi are my top two," which I'm sure is what every woman loves to hear. That they who their
Mm,
competition is and
oh,
what place they
I'm in
are.
the running.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope I get the privilege to come out on top. Thank you so much for considering me for a perfect match. She comes right out and asks Kaz, like, "So do you want to be my match tonight?" And he says, "Well, hold on. We still gotta talk to people. I don't know. We still gotta mingle and figure out where we want our strategy to go." I was like, damn. And
Mm,
this, kind of being prescient here, Michael will have her own chance to do this to someone else later down the line. So I thought it was interesting that she got it first in this way, where Kaz kind of rejects her a little bit in this moment because Michael's trying to jump the gun and get a match right away.
yeah, and to me, it's like, well, obviously you're his second choice, Micah, because if you were
Mhm.
his first choice, he would have said, "Yeah, let's couple up."
Right. So that's not a great sign. So we get Izzy. He says, I can tell that Mike's not interested in me. So I got to get out there and talk to other people. So he goes to talk to Tolu. Tolu says, she really likes Izzy's vibe. She likes the ball connection they got going on together.
They can make a mind it.
Yeah, make a mind together, make a meld, whatever, mind meld, whatever you want to call it. He says he asked her if she wants a match, and you know what? She goes with it. Tolu and Izzy are our third match. I kind of got the sense that it was just like Tolu was just like, I'm not feeling too much of people out here. I might as well go with this guy. He seems nice. Let's just get tonight over with and see what the next day brings. I kind of got that vibe off of why
Yeah.
Tolu decided to go with Izzy here.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's fair. And I think that, like, from a personal safety perspective, Izzy is the right choice to pick on night one here.
Yeah, you don't gotta worry about make sure you're secure that night in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
I think some of these people may have to watch out for that. So Steven and Xanthi chat. They're a little flirty. Xanthi tells us, he's normally the guy I would go for. He's got this bad boy vibe, but she's trying to change that. She's trying to be less of that. She wants a little less of the bad boy in this experience. She says she wants to try something different. So Xanthi and Kaz talk instead. He tells us that he likes her Harley Quinn accent. I was like, what? I think he's when she says whatever, that's a Harley Quinn accent. I
don't think that's a Harley Quinn accent. Actually,
no,
I think that there's other words that could be used to describe the way that she's speaking that has now leaked throughout the house in 3 episodes. But yeah, I guess that could be a reason to be a match with someone.
I guess so. I guess based on the accent, Kaz asked Xanthi would she like to match, and yes, they match. They are our fourth match here. So then who else is left but Steven and Micah?
The leftovers.
The leftovers. She says, she says toxic can be good, so she's gonna try to go with Steven. She's gonna try and make it work with him. He asks her if she will match. She says yes. So Steven and Micah are our fifth and final match.
I did like that he actually like still asked her. Like they weren't just like, well, we're the last two. Like it was literally like they actually did have a conversation. It seemed like they vibed enough. So
yeah. So I got time to go to the room, I guess, or the last two. Now, yeah, I do like they kind of tried to form a connection before they left. So we do see all the couples going into their rooms, and we do see Elise and Harry snuggling and kissing in their room. We also get Brayden and Dominique arguing about what counts as working out and what doesn't. I think Brighton's contention here is that what is it? Pilates is a workout, but yoga is not. Is his thing.
That's his stance. Yeah, because he asked like, "Oh, do you work out?" And Dominique goes, "Oh, I do yoga." And then he gets mad. It's like, no, like, do you do Pilates? That's a workout. Like, yoga's not a workout. And I mean, first of all, yoga is like supposed to be like a spiritual practice first and foremost. But like, there's lots of different types of yoga, and some are definitely more exertion than others. But like, what a stupid and they meet each other's energy on it as well. And he's like, you need to listen to me. Like, bodybuilders don't do yoga. And I'm like, I didn't know that a exercise has to be done by a bodybuilder to count.
I mean, it's two toxic people that like to argue about anything and will argue about it loudly, which is not who you want to be spending time with in a villa. I mean, we see a bunch of people walking out of their rooms like, what the hell is going on? These two are arguing loudly about what counts as a workout. So that's kind of the end of our night one, and we've got our couples matched up. So the next day, everyone wakes up, and it's time for our first compatibility challenge, which I think is probably my least favorable aspect of this show. The challenges are really nonsense and don't really mean much of anything. I think it's just a way to get us to the further part of this game about who gets to the boardroom and whatnot.
Yes.
Our first compatibility challenge is motion in the ocean. There are cages above water. The purpose of the game, couple get into the cage and you have to move your cage from one end to the other, suspended above water, and whoever gets there first wins a challenge. And to move your cage takes a lot of force, takes a lot of energy, and uh, I'm sure production has, suggested them, hey, I think probably a bunch of like sex positions would be really fun to try and get your cage above water. So this is what everyone tries. I think, we get a lot of talk about, engineering and physics in this challenge. What was your big takeaway from this challenge?
I mean, Harry is like the tallest or close to the tallest man there, and
Mhm.
Elise is the tallest woman by a lot. So it was like I feel like pretty obvious that they were gonna be
It's
able
given.
to swing the cage together. So I don't think it's necessarily a big
I
sign that they're meant to be.
Yeah, of course. I was very worried for many people's like danger of bodily injury was high in this because there was a lot of slamming into each other to try and get the cage to move.
Yeah.
I was very worried about these guys maybe squishing their female partners into this cage.
Very it was just very odd. I don't think anyone was really, crushing it. Izzy and Tolu did a good job, but
Yeah,
they're a small couple. They were never gonna be able to win.
right. And so one of the bigger moments of this challenge is the continuing tension between Dominique and Brighton as they argue about the best way to move the cage. They actually come in second in the whole challenge, but it was Brighton claims it was because he looked over to see what Harry was doing and copied that. And Dominique is arguing, well, that's what I told you to do in the first place, but you would not listen. And they're getting to this argument about did he listen or did he just copy or what the issue was. And this really gets Dominique emotional. She starts crying, and he says he was speaking down to her, which obviously you could see that it's Brighton.
Yeah.
That's what he does. And Brighton never does anything to like comfort her. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. She's like, as she's crying, he's like, well, what was it that was? Did I copy what they were doing or not? Or which one was it? So you can just see that this
I
is not going to work at all.
I do not like this man through the amount of TV I've watched him on now,
Yeah.
and I feel like people didn't like him on Squid Game The Challenge, but I thought I had seen kind of some discourse online that maybe that wasn't necessarily fair, but I don't like how he's talking to the women on this show
I
at
think it was
all.
pretty fair to that people didn't like Brighton on his Squid Game season because he was a dick that whole time basically.
Okay.
Just the bravado is hiding a lot of insecurity. You can tell. So that's kind of the way he lives his life, and I guess it's kind of worked for him so far. It's gotten him on 2 reality shows, but I'm just not sure in life if that's going to really work out for him the best way. But
The people that get cast on reality shows are not necessarily the people that are like crushing life. So
true that. Harry and Elise have won the challenge, and they get to go on their own private date, which was just really a nothing. They go to a private bar and get shots and get drinks or whatever. And he's trying to convince her that he's really matured and he wants a committed relationship. He's looking to be with someone for the rest of his life at this point. He just can't stop smiling when he's telling these lies
it
in
seems like
confessional
people
into her.
believe him though.
Yeah, it seems like they really. I mean, I think this is Harry's game, though. I think it's what he tells women all the time. Like, I'm really looking to settle down, and then he screws them over in the end, and they realize that he was never telling the truth. It's all the women that I can change him. I can be the one to make him
No.
settle down. I think that's what Harry runs his relationships on. I think that's how he gets women in the first place.
Public service announcement. Never date someone thinking you can change them.
Yes,
Period. Just don't do it. You
totally.
can't.
You are not the one. I know you think you are the one. You are not Neo. You are not the one.
Yeah.
So they talk about the boardroom, and
Yeah.
they talk about what they're going to do, what the strategy is. She asks him, so do you want guys or girls to come in? And he won't really give her a
Mhm.
straight answer. It's like, I don't know. He does remark to her, it's like, well, you let me cuddle you, but you wouldn't let me, and it's like, okay. So
And
I
it's
think we
like,
can see where this is going.
didn't we see them making out? Like, it's literally just that he for sure wanted to, round more bases than she
Yes.
was willing to do on day 1.
Yeah, and she would not let him do that. So I think obviously you can tell the writings on the wall that he's ready to move on from Elise because she won't put out fast enough for him basically. um So we get to the boardroom. We get to our first
Yes.
boardroom of the season. Nick shows up to give the lowdown like he does. And again, I ask, why is Nick here? But again, these people are such idiots. I think they may just be confused if they walk in and
Could they read a card?
I don't think they could. So Nick comes in and he tells us, here are the new 4 singles for you to choose from. And they're all guys. I think they were surprised it was all guys, but I'm pretty sure that's how the first season ran too. So I don't know why they are
Yeah,
surprised.
I think that Harry wanted it to be women so that he
Yeah.
could choose to go on a date
Yep.
with a woman, and he was unhappy,
Yeah, for
is
sure.
the vibe
So
I got.
yeah. The 4 new singles to choose from are Chris from Dated and Related, Justin from Surviving Paradise, Nigel from Too Hot to Handle, and surprise, Dom's back from The Mole and Perfect Match season 1 to be chosen in this batch.
I think Dom is like a fine person, and I do get served a lot of his content on TikTok still, but like
This was not interesting
what is
whatsoever our first
what
season.
is he doing here? Like well, I guess we'll get into it when things happen. But like I just am like, why were you here? And I watched, I think, the first episode or couple episodes of Surviving Paradise. So I like recognized Justin, but I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, the only person I knew from this squad was Dom, and that was only from Perfect Match ones. I
Yeah.
didn't watch Dated and Related, didn't watch Surviving Paradise, don't watch Too Hot to Handle. So Dom's my only entry here into what I know.
Yeah, and I think Chris is just like a regular, like replacement level douche, is what I would say.
We'll definitely see that. So Harry says, "So do you want to match any of these guys?" She says, "Yeah, not really." He's like, "Oh, great," which is I think is because he knows that probably he'll just stay with Elise to get through another round.
Yeah.
So this is where Harry begins to talk about who of these guys has foreskin, and if someone comes in with foreskin still attached, we're going to change the dynamics. I'm just like, huh? What? And I thought that's where we were going to drop it until later.
No, and it just kept happening. Like
Just kept going.
it's very weird. I think that Harry should maybe spend some of time in the therapy that he keeps talking about. Talking about his weird like foreskin obsession.
Yeah, 100%. So they talk about what the strategy is going to be. They say they really want to split up Dom and Brighton because it's it's a bad vibe. It's not good. They want to pair them up with someone else. They choose to match Dominique with Chris, and this is where I'm going to now have to switch to Dominique instead of Dom because it's going to be two of those people now, so it's annoying. So they match Dominique with Chris, so we know that match is coming. There's talk about the fact that Dom from season 1, should he come into the house because he and Harry have history. Dom's girlfriend cheated on him with Harry, so that would be awkward and weird. So they kind of make us think that Dom's kind of out of the running to be brought into the house at this point of the show. So then the question is, well, we want to match Tolu with someone. Who do you want to match Tolu with? Do we want to match her with Chris? Do we want to match her with Justin? Blah, blah, blah. We don't know what the final decision is at this moment. We're going to get the reveal when on the next episode on who, well, actually at the end of this episode 1 of who is going to be dating Tolu. We get the reveal. They come back. They tell Dom and Tolu they're going on a date. Tolu goes on her date. It's a mystery man. We don't know who they picked. And bum, 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 wouldn't you know it? It is actually Dom. Dom was the person that was picked to go on the date with Tolu. So at the beginning of episode 2, we get that date. They're riding bikes together. Tolu loves what she sees. She's pretty much at that moment. It's just like, is he who? Because Dom is here, and I'm down for this. Almost immediately, that's almost like we know where she's going to go.
Yeah, and they seem to have really great chemistry. They literally jinx each other at one point, like where they say cheers at the same time, and then they say jinx at the same time, which is kind of cute. Then Dom asks like, "Oh, what does that mean for you, like with the jinx?" And she's like, "I gotta slap you now." He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna fight." Which I thought it was like you have to buy them a Coke.
Yeah, it's a Coke thing. Jinx, buy your Coke. But people have different jinx rules, I suppose.
Yeah, I didn't realize people were out here physically fighting. Maybe that's the new rules.
This is new Fight Club rules. So Dom, in confessional tells us, I know I won Perfect Match first time around. He's like, I actually even forget sometimes that I won. People have to remind me. He says, he wants to really change it up from the last time. He does want a ride or die partner, so he's back to try and get that. They do talk. They said they're both serial monogamists, so maybe that they're a good match for each other. We do also get the Dominique and Chris date. Dominique talks about how toxic she has been in relationships in the past, but she can't help but be attracted to the villain because in her words, the hero is so boring. She does meet Chris. They go up and paddleboard. Now, Chris, I think he looks like I think his name is Chase Crawford from like Gossip Girl or something.
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't say like twins, but I can definitely see the resemblance. Similar
Yeah,
bone structure.
yeah, I remember. I know him from the show The Boys, not that much
Yeah.
of Gossip Girl, but when I saw him in his like in the intro package where he's like flashback to a show, I was like, that guy looks like the guy from The Boys. I looked it up.
I
It's Chase Crawford.
And I have to say thank you for using a Gossip Girl reference because I do not watch The
That was
Boys.
for you, Kristen. That was for you. So Chris wants to know, hey, what's going on in the house? Dominique tells him, she is matched with someone, but it's a little bit of a personality clash.
Mhm.
They talk about her experience on Too Out to Handle. She does tell him that she is also attracted to women. And he says, oh, that's fun. And that he
He's
isn't opposed to that.
But he first says, "Oh, so are you like bi-curious?" And
Oh,
she's
boy.
like, "No, I'm bisexual. Like I know that like, oh yeah, it's just, the sexual variety." And he's like, "Oh, that's fun." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like okay, immediate like
Yeah.
to end the date, send him home. We're
Yeah,
done.
treating her like an object, treating her like something that is to be, had fun with. And this won't be the first time that he shows his ass about this in our first 3 episodes here. Mick affectionately says he's not going to go for the kill right away. He's going to try and charm her, so he's going to try and get to know her a little bit. Blah blah blah. Back at the house, we are back at the house. The newbies show up. We get a little talk from Micah and Xanthi. They're telling us they don't really love their matches with Kaz and Steven, so they're excited to see what new is going to come inside the house. The newbies show up. We know that Kaz already knows Chris from their show, and this is a big reveal, folks. We get revealed that Chris has a foreskin. This really throws the other guys off. Harry is all about it. He's like, oh my God, this is crazy. But then Brighton tells him to prove it. Brighton is the one that gets really up in arms about this.
Yeah.
And
He's like, yeah, drop your pants, like show us. And then I can't remember if it's Brighton or Harry who like grabs something. He's like, yeah, we gotta chop it off. Like,
yeah, I think that was Harry. It's gross. It is very gross in many different
so
ways.
weird. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
And part of Brighton's stressing here is obviously about the fact that his match Dominique is the one that came in with Chris, so he is really kind of stressing about whether or not Dominique's going to stay with him or choose to go another way. Tolu shows back up and she fakes like there's no one else showing up with her, but then Dom walks in the house and everyone is screaming. Everyone's like, oh my God, Dom is here. Izzy tells us, okay, now I know I'm screwed. Now I know I've seen Dom is here. Now I know that I have to find another way to go.
Yeah, I like it. Izzy had like a moment of feeling like, oh, perfect. Everything's great. Tolu came back alone for me, which is not how the show works.
Not how the show works.
And then he gets the like death blow of Dom comes in, who's more like obviously desirable to a lot of people. So
yeah, so we get the explanation from Harry that, I know everyone thought me and Dom would probably not get along, that I wouldn't want to come back in the house, but actually, surprise, surprise, we are friends. He says that they actually sat down and talked about their, romantic histories and who they both dated, and they actually sat down and talked and figured out that they actually like each other. They actually want to be friends. So that's why Harry, decided to have Dom come into the house. Nick shows up, welcomes Dom back to the show, tells Chris nice to meet him, and then explains again for the second night in a row how the show works. It's like this is the easiest paycheck anyone has ever made. You get to come to Tulum, Mexico. You get to show up, every now and again and say the same spiel every time. But you gotta love Nick getting paychecks though.
It's what, and good for him. I was on a vacation to Mexico this past fall for a wedding, and it was in the Tulum area, and like I always watch these shows. I'm like, oh, it looks so nice. But now that it's like somewhere I've actually been, I'm like, oh, I know how nice that is, and I wish I was there instead.
Yeah, for sure. We get into the mingling portion of the night, so everyone can choose their matches. We get Tolu telling some of the other ladies like she's very, very attracted to Dom, but she says, but she is drawn to personality more than looks, so she's really torn right now of what to do over the Izzy or Dom choice. But Izzy can see the writing on the wall. He's like, listen, I'm not gonna wait for Tolu to choose me or Dom. I'm gonna see what else is out there. I'm gonna see who else wants to maybe kick it with me. So he tries the Micah route again. He says, listen, I know I know things went weird the first time, but then he tells her, I have a read on you, and I know that Stefan isn't for you. And I said, I just don't think that's the great way to feel about this, Izzy, to tell this woman who she is and isn't supposed to be with.
He does not have game at
The man
all.
has
Like,
no
none.
riz,
He
zero
has
riz.
none. Like,
Negative
negative.
riz. He has negative riz. Yeah.
It's really bad. Like, respect that he's out here trying, but I think he maybe should have a little quit in him. Like, he doesn't seem to have any quit for pursuing Micah, and he's got to stop. And it's although Tolu being like, oh, I really like Dom, but like I generally go more for personality, so I'm conflicted. So I'm like, okay, confirmed. Dom has no personality.
Why did you choose Dom later? Like, spoiler alert, you couldn't choose Dom, who has zero personality. But yeah, Izzy has like dad riz. I'll call it that. Like, which is like negative riz.
Like father riz.
Father, yes. not daddy. Father riz. Not daddy or zaddy. Father riz. Okay. So Izzy's like, Stefan's obviously not the guy for you. So, and Micah says, yeah, you know what? You're actually kind of right. I'm definitely looking to switch things up and see what's going on. But she says, I'm struggling to talk to other guys. And Kaz is also there in this conversation. He says, well, you have the power to choose this round. Izzy looks dead in Micah's face and says, we should really chat. Like, you and me should chat it up. Micah literally looks away from Izzy in Kaz's face and says, you know what? You and me should go chat. My jaw was on the ground with how terribly she just dissed Izzy like this. And especially considering the situation she was in with Kaz earlier in episode 1, where she asked Kaz to match, and Kaz was like, let's talk around and see what happens. And she does the same exact thing very much in a much worse way to Izzy, and just ditches him and just goes to ask Kaz to chat. I was befuddled. It was crazy.
I have to say, I respect it. I respect the move. She doesn't want to talk to Izzy, so she shouldn't have to. I think it's a little sad to be like, okay, I'm gonna talk to this person who already hasn't given me the time of day. Like, she maybe should have tried to get to know some of the new guys. But you know what? Good for her.
I guess I feel like she could have softened the blow a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of just ignoring the man.
She could have softened the blow, but
we are not here.
Responsibility.
We're not here to coddle men's egos, I guess. So I mean, let's say that. But so Mike and Kaz do go chat. Kaz says, I like Xanthi, but I'm not really feeling the vibe. He's not really feeling it with her. But he does have a fun vibe with Micah. And Micah says in confessional, she says she feels like Kaz could be her perfect match. She would go all the way to the end with Kaz if he would just say yes. Yeah. And then so we get this interesting situation. So Kaz goes talk to Stefan, and he says, listen, I think maybe we should swap. We should swap our women as if they are property.
Yeah, you can just trade. It's fine.
Yeah. You have mine, I'll have yours.
But to be fair, at the same time, Micah and Xanthi are talking about how we should trade men, like they are property. So like everyone's down with doing the wife swap. So I guess it's okay, but I still don't. Like Micah goes and talks to Kaz, but I don't think Xanthi and Stefan talk really. No. So it's just also like 3 out of the 4 just like chatted about it without Xanthi, and then they're like, okay, Xanthi, we're trading. Like, it's just such a weird vibe, but everyone's happy. They wife swap.
Everyone's happy to make the swap official. Xanthi and Stefan are now matches, and Micah and Kaz are also a match. So they are our first 2 matches of the night. Yeah. So then we go to Dom and Harry. They're talking. They're buds. They say, I had no idea you're going to be here. This is perfect. And Harry talks about how he thought Tolu would be perfect for Dom. I just don't think that Harry knows that Dom does not like black women. Okay.
He obviously didn't watch Perfect Match season 1.
So I don't know that he thought that
and like that's the thing that's like the the like unsaid thing in all of these dating shows is they
Mhm.
always bring in like an absolutely stunning, perfect 10 on 10 black woman to be like the main character of the season because they want to use them for content. And then they do not seem to consider when casting the men of being like, do you date black women? Black women in
Yeah.
horrible situations on these shows over and over and over again.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot through season 1 about
Yeah.
how the black women got rejected so often, and they were often left holding the bag and being forced to
Mhm.
leave. And unfortunately, it seems to continue on this season. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see what's how that if that gets rectified later on or not as we get more people come in. I hope it does get rectified, but bringing Dom back, considering his track record, I don't think was a was a good idea for several reasons. But yeah, Dom and Tolu talk. He says, "Listen, I want to know more about you. I mean, for now." He literally says, "For now, I want to get to know more about you."
Ugh.
Um, Tolu says, "You know what? I like Izzy. We're very open and honest with each other, but she would love to match with Dom. So she asked Dom to be her match, and he says yes because he does really have much of a choice in this
Yeah.
round. The women do have the
Mhm.
power here. In confessional, she says she can't deny the connection with Dom. She does sit Izzy down and break the news to him. Says, "Listen, I have decided to match with Dom. It's like, that's fine. Don't feel bad about it." Izzy basically gets up and leaves. I would feel much worse for Izzy if he didn't constantly show his ass on Love Is Blind. So I can't have too much sorrow for Izzy in this moment. I know the show wants me to, but I just remember how he treated some of the
No.
cast on his show, so I'm not feeling too bad about it.
I just like the way that he just won't give up on Micah and can't do
Mm,
it in a normal way. I'm like, whatever, you can go. It's
yeah, you're
fine.
not bringing us much anyway, so
We'll
you
see
can
you.
leave.
Yeah, we'll see you at the end when you cast your vote. Like, I don't
Yeah,
care.
after not seeing any of the rest of the cast interact at all,
Like,
you're going to still cast your vote.
who's bringing him back in, right? Like,
Oh no,
no one. No
yeah.
one's bringing Izzy back in. Stop it.
So then we get this very awful, awkward moment here. Harry and
Mhm.
Elise are talking, and they talk about how they each give and receive love. And she says, I really I give love. No, Harry says he receives by touching, and she hasn't really touched him enough. She says,
Because
well,
he's being okay, this is like very, very, very classic fuckboy behavior. Like very,
mhm,
very classic. Because obviously, like there's the five love languages, blah blah. It's kind of like a flaw. Like the theory is fine, but the way people implement it is super flawed. But one of the biggest ways is these fuckboys will be like, "Oh, my love language is physical touch," and they mean by physical touch they mean sex. That
yes,
no other physical touch counts to them. Like cuddling doesn't count. Other physical affections, no. If you're not having sex with me, you're not showing love for me. And they like use love language to try to pressure people
yeah.
into like moving faster than maybe they want to. Because like, but it's my love language.
Yeah, they use it as
Mm-mm.
a weapon. They use it as a weapon to try and get more sex, basically.
Ugh.
She said, "Well, my guard is up because of all the things I've heard about you." And he gets really pissed. He's like, "Well, why would you judge me from stuff that you've heard and not from who you see in front of you? Because I have so much information, Harry. There's so much information on you that anyone would be, guarded to be around you. I'm scared I would get an STD just from looking at you. Like, so let alone let you touch me more."
No,
Um,
that man has HPV. Let's be
have
clear.
to, has to. She's trying to explain that why she's so guarded. She said, "I'm guarded with everyone like this at first," but he just won't hear. He's pissed. He says, "Listen, if you're just going to be this judgmental, I just don't know if it's going to work." She says, "You can't expect me to have my guard down in 3 days. Like I've known you for 3 days, and you already want to be having sex with me." And he basically gets huffy. He's like, "Well, do you want to match or not?" She says, "Sure," and they are magically our fourth match because again, in this round,
Yeah.
Harry's like, "Fine, I'll go with you for now until I can get something better in the
Yeah.
next round of the show," which was so awful and so cringe.
Exactly. So gross.
Yeah. Dominique and Chris are talking. She tells him he looks like Flynn Rider from Tangled. He has no idea who or what that is. Um, he asks where her head is at. She
Mhm.
says, things are they're getting along well, but he wants her to know that she is the one that he wants to get to know more. So Chris is down for Dominique. She's not committal. She says, "I have to talk to Brighton. We have a lot of passion. We clash, but we have passion."
Yeah.
In confessional, Dominique says it's dumb that Chris is talking to anyone else because it's not a guarantee that she's going to choose him. She likes Chris, but is a little bored with him. She begins talking to Brighton. they're making, he's like, why are we arguing right now? We need to be arguing. And so you can just tell they're both
Yeah.
into their toxicity
He
real
wants to
hard and
fight.
everything.
I don't even know how the fight starts, and then all of a sudden, all 3 of them are there together, Chris, Brighton, and Dominique. I
Yeah. Well, Brighton and Dominique are kind of like they're chuckling together. They're having fun. Chris overhears this, and has decided enough is enough. And so he walks over and basically tells Dominique to choose who she wants to be with right now, which kind of triggers Brighton and really kind of starts them getting into a kind of a little bit of a shouting match, a little bit. Which I am as anti Brighton as you could probably get, but I felt like this was really bad on Chris to come and start this type of argument like this.
why are you coming in start asking for an ultimatum? Like, this is just not
Wrong
it's
show.
not
This is
normal
the
behavior,
ultimatum.
and it's not okay.
This is perfect match, not the ultimatum. Wrong
Oh
show.
god. It's just yeah, it's really bizarre, and it escalates a bit. Everyone ends up getting a little bit loud, and it's
Mhm.
just weird. I didn't like it.
Yeah, and so Dominique is kind of like, listen, I'm not really about this. I'm not about the alpha energy. And she sits down to talk to Brighton. And she's like, listen, I just don't know if I'm down for that. I don't know if I'm really feeling your energy at the moment. I'm just not sure realistically if it could really work. Brighton gets bar. He says, "You know what? Forget it. I'm just going to leave." Brighton basically takes his ball and goes home. Instead of getting
Yeah,
rejected, he just decided he's going to quit. You can't fire me. I quit. Is kind of his energy here.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets up. He says, "Listen, Chris. Chris is just an interesting character, and I don't really f with that." I was like, "Okay."
I
And he says, "Well, hopefully it's not the last you will see of me. Hopefully it really is." Uh,
yeah.
Brighton is really giving well, his name was Chase, right, from season 1 of Perfect Match, who was on 2 Out the Window,
Yes.
obviously. He's really giving that personality this season.
Yes, 100%. It's super weird. And yeah, it's interesting too. Like Izzy, when he got eliminated, he just left. He didn't even try to like get to know Dominique or anyone else either. Like they both just kind
Mhm.
of were like, okay, it's over.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I think they could probably see the writing on the wall that they weren't going to get matched and decided to leave before they were escorted out,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
So Dominique and Chris are officially our 5th match of the night. So everyone is matched up, all good.
Yeah.
Next day, we get straight to the compatibility challenge. Guess what? Nick brings them out to these little platforms. He's like, "Can you guys guess what the challenge is going to be?" And no one has any clue or any idea. He's like, "It's the kissing challenge." Obviously, he acts like TJ from the challenge in trivia. Like
Yeah.
the kissing challenge is so iconic. Um,
And like I was like, oh, are they gonna have to like stand on their platform the longest with their couple? Like,
right.
what do you mean? He's like, naturally, it's the kissing challenge. I'm like, oh, okay, oh,
Like,
that's
I don't even think
fine.
this was the type of setup for last season's kissing challenge. So why would anyone just walk in here assuming that that's what it was?
They did it so weird. So
This was such a terrible challenge. Yeah, go ahead.
they have all of the women standing on these little platforms, and
Mhm.
then the men, I guess, are like rotating through each woman to make sure that everyone kisses everyone.
He has like speed
And
dating for kissing.
yes, except everyone is wearing like blindfolds and noise canceling headphones the whole time. So like people can't find each other's faces to do
Mhm.
a kiss. Like Love Island does a kiss ranking challenge every season, but they do like a round where the women are blindfolded and ranking the men, and then one where the men are blindfolded and ranking the women.
Mhm.
And I mean, I guess because they like see who they kissed in the first round, they could kind of cheat a little bit in the second round to give points to their team. But like, at least you can actually have a proper kiss. Like, this was just so bizarre. And like Xanthi was like, no, I'm not kissing anyone. She's like turning her cheek,
Yeah,
just
which I
not
mean,
participating.
listen, much respect to Xanthi for respecting her own boundaries, but this is a perfect match. I think you're casted on this show with the idea that you're going to be at the very least kissing people. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what the show is for. So I thought it was very odd that Xanthi is here and going about it this way. But like I
Mhm.
said, hey, don't let anyone tell you to do anything you don't want to do. So
Yeah, well, and her last reality show, she was locked in a room talking through a computer. She wasn't
right.
really like she wasn't on a love show before, even though I think that was the dating season of The Circle that
Uh,
they did.
I think it might be the last season might have been the dating season where everyone was either single or catfishing as single. Well, I'm not positive. So
Yeah,
don't quote me on that.
I don't watch it, so I can't say, but I feel like
Yeah,
that's when I thought Brett was on like the single season, so I don't know.
could be.
Um, but so yeah, it's like I get it. She doesn't have dating show experience, but it's also like, did you not realize when you signed the papers to come on this show that
Yeah.
like that would be part of it?
Yeah, it was very odd. So obviously, all her results are blanked out because she didn't actually kiss anyone.
Yeah.
Now I do remember last season the kissing challenge was kind of a big deal because I think was it Chase ended up figuring a way to game the system and winning winning the challenge. It was much more of a spectacle last season. This season wasn't. They didn't really focus on the kissing all that much. I think Micah was very oddly aggressive, and then
Mhm.
and then the results were just very odd. I didn't understand the results at first. I thought this was the score they were getting, but this is the score that they were giving.
Yeah, it was done really weird. They brought them up couple by couple to be like, here's who you gave your highest and lowest scores to
Yeah,
without getting like any of the numbers in between.
right.
Like on Love Island, it'll be like, okay, here's like Dominique, and it's like Harry gave you a 3, so and so gave you this, so and so gave you this, and then it's an average of all of them, but it seems like it was only the average. Well, I
They did
guess
highest, did highest, lowest, and what you match with your match. Now, if you
yeah,
brought each couple up and said, "This is the highest score you received, Harry, and this is the highest score you received, Elise," and they take those scores and average all those up, that would make sense. And that who the couple got that got the highest
yeah,
number, that would make more sense. But the way they did it
agreed.
was very odd and very just ran out of left field. So I think Micah had a weird journey with these results. Micah
Yeah.
has some very low scores, and then I think Micah is the one that got 2 10s off of her
Yes.
kisses.
Because she got one with Kaz and one with from Harry.
Mhm.
And I did note, hey, the Harry kiss with he was like choking her while they were kissing. Like it was
Yeah, I noted that Micah was very aggressive in her kisses and how she was like being very forceful. So I think maybe that matches Harry's energy, maybe. So that's why
mhm,
they gave each other 10s, or he gave her a 10, or whatever the situation
yeah.
was. So by the scores made no sense. So I don't even want to feel like it's a worthwhile to go through a lot of them.
Yeah, no.
At the end, Kaz and Micah win the challenge because they each gave each other 10s, which really kind of skyrocketed their score.
Yeah.
So Kaz and Micah win a private date and ability
Yes.
to control things in the boardroom.
And
So going,
Steven is chanting, wife swap, wife swap.
yeah, good job, Steven. You're really a strategic genius with this one. You ended up not winning this challenge.
Yeah.
Great job. So they are Micah and Kaz are on their salsa date.
Yes.
It's odd, weird. They talk about the kissing histories. Micah doesn't kiss a lot. Kaz kisses a whole lot. Kaz is like, "How many people have you kissed in one day?" She's like, "I don't know if I ever kissed anyone more than once in a day. I mean, before today, apparently." And
Yeah.
he's like, "I kiss everyone all the time. I kiss a lot of people. I kiss a lot of people, especially on vacation." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, great." They talk about they talk about what they want to do. He says he wants to send Harry and Elise on a date. No, Micah says, "I really want to split Harry and Elise up because they seem like the strongest couple. So we really want to spice things up to really kind of get them, separated." In a confessional, Micah says she's really trying to win the show, so she really wants to split up the power couples.
I love it. Strategic queen. Like,
Yes,
let's go. Because
someone
she doesn't know that Harry only sees Elise as a
right.
friend.
She's using that first compatibility challenge to really kind of influence things here, I guess.
Yeah.
So we get the Micah and Kaz boardroom. Nick shows up again, explains everything, tells us our single ladies that you have to choose from are Jessica from Love Is Blind, Holly from Too Hot to Handle, Melinda from Too Hot to Handle, and Alara from Dated and Related.
Yes.
Kaz tells us and Micah that he knows Melinda and Alara. Melinda apparently hosted Dated and
Yes,
Related.
she did.
Interesting. Was she that good on Too Hot to Handle? They decide to
Oh,
make
Melinda
her
is
host.
it. She
Oh, okay.
is such a star. When she inevitably comes into the house, you'll get to see she's amazing.
Awesome.
But she wasn't eligible to be on Perfect Match season 1 because she was dating oh, what was that long hair Christian from Big Brother 23? The curly haired
Oh,
guy?
is
They
that
dated for like over a year.
is that the woman he was on social media with, or is that a different person?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The like absolutely stunning, one of the most beautiful
Oh,
women you've ever seen in your life.
interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's cool. That's
And
awesome.
I think Melinda, did she win Too Hot to Handle? Or maybe the guy she was in a couple with won Too Hot to Handle, but he was sketchy. He was like this French guy who had literally just won French Love Island and then went on Too Hot to Handle like 2 weeks later, like
Oh my
broke up with
gosh.
his match from that to go on Too Hot to Handle, and then like won Too Hot to Handle and didn't stay with his partner there. I'm pretty
Well,
sure
he
he's
should.
like
He's a ringer.
he should be on Perfect
Oh
Match. We
my
have to get
god.
him on a Netflix show so they can bring him here because
Yeah.
he's got that riz.
Yeah, apparently. So Kaz says, he knows Melinda because she hosted his show. He also knows
Mhm.
Alara because Alara actually dated his brother on their show, Dated and Related. So they say they want to split up. Their goal here is to split up Dominique and Chris and Harry and Elise.
Mhm.
They pretty much right off the bat decide that they want to match Harry and Jessica. Now Jessica from Love is Blind last season. She, I think you could arguably say that she came out of the Love is Blind situation the best, mostly because she didn't make it out of the pods. So we didn't really have a chance to get to know the worst of her in most ways, and she really had this viral moment on Love is Blind, which even Kirsten, you not even watch Love is Blind, may have seen, where they
I
show us on the show
yeah.
where she tells Jimmy that he's gonna choke when he sees her, and he's gonna need his EpiPen. So I think that was Jessica by far. I think came out of this last season Love is Blind the winner, if you could say that.
Yeah, like I've seen her and I've seen the like woman that she was like competing against because of the whole like Megan Fox
Yes.
comparison controversy, which I will be standing firm right now. I do think that woman looks a little bit like Megan Fox, and I fully believe that she's been told that in the past. So there.
Kristen, I know that you have glasses on right now, but you might need to get that prescription
It's
checked.
because the thing is like people will compare you to like anyone. So like if you have like almond shaped eyes and they're
Yeah.
blue and you have brown hair, people are gonna say, "Oh, you look like Megan Fox." It doesn't mean you're twins, but
Right.
I believe people would have said it because people have been told me that I look like the most like ridiculous celebrities that I'm like, I no, I literally don't. I'm not even gonna say any of them because I don't want to start a controversy.
Right. And that's the thing, right? That's what that woman, I honestly am just blanking on her name right now. That's just not what she should have done
Was
in the
it
first.
Chelsea?
Yes, it was Chelsea. That is not what Chelsea should have done. Even though someone tells you look like a celebrity, do not go on national TV
Yeah.
and tell people that, because then the comparisons will come out of the woodwork like crazy and really just kind of
Yeah.
throw you under the bus in that way. So that
Did
was
you
her big
see
mistake.
that Megan Fox herself did an interview and said, "I do believe that that woman's been told she looks like me. I see the resemblance."
I saw that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I do believe it. It's just you don't come on and say
Yeah,
that
she shouldn't
because
have done that.
yeah,
She
that
should
was her
not have
mistake.
done that.
That was her big mistake.
Yeah.
So yes, they match Harry and Jessica right away.
Mhm.
Micah and Kaz also discuss matching Holly and Chris, but decide against it. They think about Alara and Chris. He says, "No, I don't know. My brother dated her on our show, so maybe not." They move on to maybe we should match Stefan with somebody. She's like, "Who should we match him with?" And we don't know who they're going to get, who he's going to get matched with right now. That's going to be a
Yeah.
reveal later. We get
So
back to
stupid. Just tell us. Like I
just
don't
tell
what are you
us.
doing?
Just tell. We don't care that much about it. Like it's not something that's giving that much suspense. Just tell us.
Right?
They get back to the villa and reveal that Harry and Steven will be going on their dates. Steven and Harry are both like, "Oh, so you guys are kind of just testing us because you know that we're good with our matches." I mean, at least Steven says that. Harry's just like, "Oh, I don't know. I think I'm ready to go."
Harry's like, "Thank you. I hope she's a short brunette because that is
Yeah.
my type."
Harry
And
Harry once again saying this the most nonsense thing. Says he's nervous. He's going on a date with someone he's already spunked in. Like,
no.
bro, what?
Well, and then this is where we find out that I guess that Harry and Steven have both already slept with pretty much every woman from Netflix reality shows. I'm like, "Oh,
Good for you guys. Like,
wow. Sorry to those women." Like
yeah, it's like how, why? Ugh. So yes, we get to our dates now. We get to the Steven date. Steven shows up. We don't know who Steven's meeting up, but then it's boom, boom. It's Alara. We get Alara's intro package. She is from London. You sound like you're from London. She wants her perfect match to be a gentleman. Steven obviously likes what he sees. They ride an ATV. She's holding on to him, and they end up getting to this like, is this like I think it's like a cenote or
it's a cenote.
yeah.
And it's stunningly beautiful, like
Mhm.
little water hole with the cave and having their drinks and stuff. Like good for them.
Yeah, they have a nice little time. They banter a little bit. He talks about the villa, tells her that Kaz is the one that matched them. She's oh, she tells him she dated his brother on their show. She
Mhm.
says she can't find a gentleman. Steven says he's one. His mom taught him how to treat women like a lady. And
Well,
it,
because she was impressed when he was like, "Oh, please get on
yeah, I
the
mean,
pod before me."
I'm sure losers that she's dated have not done anything like that. So Steven is a step up in this way, I suppose.
Embarrassing.
Steven tells us in a confessional, he says, at this point, Zan and Alara are pretty even. If I was Zan, I'd be like, what? Like, you know me for 3 days now. You just met this person. And now we're dead even. Great.
Well, again, because Zan's not interested in getting physical, so these
Mhm.
men are like, on to the next. Like maybe Alara will do sex with me.
Yes, that's a good point. We get to the Jessica and Harry date, and Harry is obviously blown away by what he sees in Jessica. In a confessional, she says she's sure that I'm sure you guys remember me from Love Is Blind season 6, and we get all the flashbacks of all the stuff she's done. She says she needs someone that's tall and has a beard. I would note that this is the exact opposite of the person that she wanted to match with on Love Is Blind. I'll say,
Well,
well, she didn't know that at the time. She didn't know that.
yeah,
I guess is a good point.
the love was blind.
Yeah, the love was definitely blind. She says, even though that when I had gone with that type, it's never really turned out well. In a confessional, Harry says he is creaming his pants and couldn't have done better. This is the guy that women fall over themselves to date. Apparently,
He,
I don't see it. I don't understand. I
I
really don't.
I have a theory that on these shows, I'm sure I've said it to you before, the people where they're like attractive, but we can't really seem to get a good sense of why anyone would like them. They
Yeah,
must just like smell amazing and have like
it's
pheromones
the
through the
pheromones.
roof.
Yeah,
Like I can't think of any other reason why.
yeah. So they go on their date. He probably she says she needs a funny guy. He says I'm funny. Here, take this fake leaf I've had in my mouth all day. I'm like, okay.
I
Um, so yeah,
no.
he talks to her about Elise. He says, "Listen, I've had fun with her, but it's more of a friendship thing." He says, I really want someone that's going to inspire me. I've been really unlucky in love, and I'm dating to be married and have kids. I promise I've changed my ways." Um,
Shut the front door. And she goes, "Oh, have you ever
mhm.
dated someone with kids?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Well, I do have a daughter." And he like does a pretty good job pretending that he's okay with that.
He does a better job of it than Jimmy did on Love Is Blind when she told him he was, Jimmy on Love Is Blind was like, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, okay, great, yeah, that's awesome. Harry at least covers better than Jimmy did. I'll say that.
Yeah, a little bit better. Wait, and how old is Jessica?
Jessica, I mean, I'm sure it's like mid 20s, if
Yeah.
that. But in a confessional, he says, he loves kids. He loves kids. He has a massive respect for single mothers. They go canoeing, and he tells her that she is going to make the other girls so insecure.
Wow, what a compliment. That
Yeah,
like
I love to be
that's
told that.
definitely how people want to be told that they're attractive. It's so weird.
Yeah. All right. So the newbies enter the house. Everyone's trying to get back at the house before the newbies come in. Everyone's trying to get Micah to spill the beans on who's coming to the house. Just like, so would you say that they've, have you seen this pizza before you started to eat it? Like they're trying to
Yeah.
compare things to the shows so she can tell
Yeah.
them what show they're from. Jessica walks in with Harry, meets everyone, and basically Harry just totally ignores Elise and will not give her the time of day.
Wild, but like one of like the worst like manners you can have in this
Yes.
like it's once you go on a date, when you get back, you got to talk to your partner right away and tell them what happened. Even if it's not going to be good for them and you're dumping them, you got to talk to them right away. Like if Harry had come right back, gone to Elise and been like, Elise, I'm really sorry. Like, I feel more of a connection with Jessica, and I'm thinking maybe we're better as friends. That goes so much better than how it ended up because all of the women were talking.
Yeah, I mean, for Steven, he came in and gave Zan some attention, and didn't really just treat her like garbage. But Harry just came in and just totally ignored Elise, like totally 100%. Just goes to show you how much of a great guy Harry is. Um, so yeah, everyone's coming and everyone's trying to keep Zan's spirits up because they know that she's possibly getting dumped or whatever. Nick comes and explains everything again. They wonder. Someone goes, "Oh, I wonder why Nick is here." Really? You want to know? You're curious? He does this
Well,
every single day.
Yeah, you see him daily when he walks in and explains the rules of the show
Yeah.
you're on. So, like,
It's not
maybe
like
that's what's happening?
it's like you're on the Survivor Island and Jeff Probst shows up and you're like, oh god, something bad's about to happen. This
Yeah,
happens like every other day. Like you should know what's happening right now.
exactly.
So yeah, Nick explains that guess what, guys? As you can tell, there are two more women than the men here. So that means two women are going home. Like, oh yeah, duh. All right. So the mingling of the night happens.
Yes.
Uh, Harry is talking to the guys and he's talking to them how much he likes Jess. Now they really hit it off. Dominique talks to Chris, says feels good, feels all right. He asks her about her bisexuality. And he says, and the doors that it can open. Wow.
He's like, "I really wanna explore that, like, what would you wanna do?" And she's like, "I just like, let me make it very clear, I am monogamous, I am not like, I'm not interested in threesomes or whatever." Like, she mentions in her confessional she feels like an exhibit and brings up specifically that a lot of men treat bisexual women in this way and how that's not okay. So again, really great that we're seeing someone talk about it on TV. Shitty that she's going through it for it to be something that's talked about.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is something that's coming up in multiple shows on 9 Day Fiance. I know that we both watch that show. The current season that's getting brought up in one of the couples there in Sophie and Rob. So I think it's a great conversation to have to tell to kind of change the
Yeah.
perspective, change the opinion of a lot of some people,
Yes.
that just because you're bisexual does not mean you are a promiscuous person that wants to have sex with everyone. You are more than likely bisexual and are down just to date one person at a time. That's not weird. That is pretty normal. So
Yeah, like
just because you're a
tons
bisexual, yeah,
tons of bisexual people in monogamous relationships. It happens every day.
right, exactly. It's just a sexual preference. It does not mean anything about your promiscuity. So if
Exactly.
you didn't know that before, I hope this show and I hope us saying this helps you have a different perspective.
Yeah.
Um,
Is it clicking? Come
yeah,
on.
come on, wake up. Chris and Elise talk. He says that he really likes Dominique, but it's not really clicking the way he wants it to. Elise says, she can kind of see the writing on the wall that Harry's not going to go with her again.
Yeah.
She says but she doesn't want to break anyone up. In confessional, Elise talks about the fact that Harry's basically ignoring her, and she says she
Yeah.
just wants a little bit of respect. Chris
Fair.
does, yeah, very fair. I think this is the bottom of what you could ask for.
Yeah.
Chris tells her that he wants Xanthi. Elise says she thinks that Stefan will stay with Xan. Chris is like, oh, I think I got a chance. I'm here to tell you, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So Dom and Tolu talk. She says, I'm not really going to talk to any other dudes right now. I feel like you might be the things. As Dom says, well, last season I feel like I had this problem where I was a puppy dog and I was just too loyal all the time. And this season I really want to shake it up. I want to explore things.
On
So this is really just
what
kind of breaking
season
it up.
of Perfect Match season 1 did Dom watch? Because I recall him saying this a lot about how he doesn't want to be too loyal and how he needs to switch things up. It seems exactly the same as last time.
Well, he was a puppy dog too. Was it Francesca that was with him and she was kind of stringing him along? And then when was
Oh,
it Damien
maybe.
came in and she just totally dumped him, and everyone was trying to tell him that it was going to happen. He just would not. He would not deviate from the Francesca path. But I mean, that's Francesca, who has some kind of hypnotic charm over
She's got
everyone
the
she meets.
pheromones too. That's why
Yeah.
when she and Harry were together, they were an unstoppable force of losing money on Too Hot to Handle.
Yes. They just could not keep their hands off each other and other
Yeah.
people. So this is basically Dom telling Totally, like, listen, like, this probably isn't going to be the thing. But Dom was someone that was known as last season to just stick with his person until they basically dumped him. So for Dom to take this stance with Tolu, a black woman, is like, okay, we kind of see what's up. Like,
Yeah.
not great.
It's Dom doing what Dom does, which
Yeah.
is not date black women.
Yeah. So Tolu says, listen, I don't want to be a ball and chain to you. So just do whatever you're gonna do. Like, don't worry about me. In confessional, she says, Dom seems like a great guy. So she's gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I wouldn't do that, but okay.
Yeah. So then we get the ladies talking. And Alara says, she had a great date with Harry, but she still wants to talk to other guys. Alara says she really likes Dom. She does say that in front of Tolu, and Tolu's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jess talks about how great her date with Harry went, and she says, well, Harry kind of told me that he and Elise are just more like friends. And Elise is not in this conversation. I should say
No.
that. So, and the rest of the ladies that are there are just kind of like, oh, really? We're kind of shocked to hear that because it really kind of seemed like they were one of the couples that were going really strong. Tolu says, listen, I'm really getting the ick from a lot of these men. She is really disgusted. We should
Mhm.
tell you, Tolu is one of the ones that has the right mindset on this show.
Yeah, a queen.
Yes. Tolu comes to tell Elise what Harry said about her to Jessica, and this gets Elise really pissed and really angry. In confession, she says she's not a quitter. She says, who wants hamburger when you can have steak? Like, oh, okay.
I feel like some people like hamburger better than steak.
I mean, you can't have steak all the time. Like steak's kind of expensive meat. Like hamburger's reliable. Hamburger is dependable. Hamburger's always there for you.
There's hamburgers waiting in the fridge. They're
Yeah,
right there.
right there. They're always going to be on lock. Steak, steak you have to go out and get it all the time. It's expensive. You got to prepare it right to have it taste good. Hamburger's always just going to be there and always going to be right. Okay. Um, Harry is still just kind of trying to avoid Elise. He walks past Elise and she's like, "Are you going to come talk to me or what?"
And he's like,
He's
"Oh,
like,
I'm gonna get a drink."
"Yeah, I'll come back. I'll come back to you. Just stay there. I'll get to you eventually." Eventually, he does come to talk to her, and she confronts him about what he said. He's like, "Listen, he says, I'm here for my perfect person, and I've respected your boundaries. I haven't made any moves on you."
It's
you
been
know,
3 days.
been 3 days, sir.
Oh
What
my
did you expect?
god. And
And
she's getting really caught up on the fact that he didn't talk to her, which is fair, but then he's just like, "We're talking right now. Like, why? Like, come on." And it's like totally
after she had to
derailed.
hound you to come get you to talk to her, she says, I respect your decision not to move further. She says, well, thank God it didn't move further with you because now you're acting like a complete ass. He says he feels like they haven't progressed and he doesn't want to wait for her. He thinks she's amazing. She's a great friend. She's a great friend. She's gobsmacked by this. She just can't believe that this is the way he's going about this.
What I love is he goes, "I would be doing a disservice to myself and to you if I
Mhm.
didn't pursue
This is
someone
totally for
else."
you. I'm being honorable here by breaking up with you
Yeah.
in this terrible, shitty way. He says, listen, you're a great friend, but Jessica is amazing. Like, oh, so
Okay.
I'm not amazing. I'm just,
Like,
oh
whatever.
my God.
And he's like, "Oh, you should go talk to Dom," which made me laugh so hard because he's like, "Perfect, another ex. Send them
Yeah,
to the
go
Dom
ahead.
pipeline."
He takes my sloppy seconds all the time, so he'll go right in line with this, and you are exactly his type. Trust me. Um,
Mm.
yeah, he says he doesn't want to lead her on. He does exactly that after he says, "Well, I'm not saying it's finish. If Jessica doesn't say yes to me, I'll come right back to you. Don't worry about
Right?
it."
Like,
Which is basically what
mm,
he's inferring.
yeah.
He says, "Yeah, you should go talk to others like maybe Dom." Elise says there's no one else she wants to be with here, so that means if it's not him, then she has to leave. And Harry just kind of like, okay,
Okay,
that's what it is.
bye.
That's what it is. He apologizes to her for not going how she wanted. He tries it. He does the whole thing like, can I get a hug though? She's like, no, get out of my face. Get out of here. Um, he says if he tells her like, listen, if you love someone, let them go. She's I'm not in love with you. Like, what the hell are you talking about? He says, exactly. Gets up and leaves. Like,
It's been
really?
3 days,
Really?
sir.
What did you expect here? I think for Harry to fall in love, he has to, in his mind, he has to have sex. That's the first hurdle to love
Yeah.
is what is in his mind. And he's just got that stuck. And he wants someone that's going to give it up within the first 3 days, apparently.
I think he wants it day 1 or else he's
Yeah.
gonna give up thinking about it.
You're like, listen, especially in this environment, we gotta move. We gotta move. I gotta figure out if I want to dump you or move on real fast.
We have a schedule to keep.
Yeah. She's trying to get away from the scene. The cameras are following her. She tells cameras to fuck off.
Yeah.
She basically then walks to make matters worse. She walks in on Harry giving Jessica his watch as literally he says as a marker to mark her. Like, what are you, a dog marking your territory? Like, what is
No,
going on?
I didn't like, I feel like there could have been a cute way of him to be like, "Hey, I want you to wear my watch," but he literally, like, says what he's doing while he's doing it. Like, Harry says the quiet part out loud every
Mhm.
time.
Yeah. And for some reason, the women cannot find it. Just find it irresistible. Um, Mike and Kaz are talking. And they're riding high on this win on this boardroom
Yeah.
thing. So they're just like, hey, let's keep it simple. Let's match. So they go ahead and match. Our first match of the night. Jessica is talking to the girls, and she says she's between a rock and a hard place right now because between what Harry told her about him and Elise and what the other girls are telling her about Harry and Elise and Harry himself, she doesn't know what to do. The other ladies tell her outright, no, Harry is the problem here. He is a dick. He is a jerk. He treats women like trash. He is not the one you want to be with. Harry walks up, and in a confessional, Jessica says she wants to cringe right now. She doesn't know what to do in this moment. She says his track record is not great, and she does not want him to ruin her life like he has for so many other women. I'm like,
Oof.
in this moment, I'm like, yes, Jessica, good. You're seeing the signs. You're seeing the red flags. This isn't good. Turn around and run away. At this moment, this is what I'm thinking. They talk.
But what? She's gonna leave the villa and not get to play the game just because Harry
True.
sucks? That's not fair.
Yeah, so they Harry and Jessica talk, and she's upfront about the fact that girls are talking about him and all his issues. Harry's like, well, it's just they just don't know about what they're talking about. They don't want to see me happy, blah blah. Jessica says, listen, you need to take accountability. She says she doesn't want to come in on the tail end of someone else's heartbreak. I'm like, damn, Jessica, get it. He says, she says she will not be in the graveyard of relationships that were ruined by being associated with him. She has so much to lose by being here because she has a little impressionable girl at home. He tells her he's serious about the next person he dates. He wants to marry them, and he was excited to meet her and talk to her. And he promises her that he'll be committed. And he asks her to match with him. Now, in this moment, I was like, Jessica, don't do it. Don't do it. You see the issues. You see the problems. Don't do it. She reminds him, listen, I'm the last person to be played with. Remember that. But she does say that she will match with him, and they are our second match of the night.
Yes,
we get Chris and Elise talking. And they're both kind of up shit creek here. He says, listen, I'm not sure I'm going to go with this. Elise is still pissed about the Harry situation. She says, if I'm not matched with Harry, I'm not sure where else I can go. I have to leave. She says she wants to stay and try to meet someone else. Chris says, listen, I mean, why don't we just both match? We're just friends, nothing romantic. We'll just match so that we can get to the next round, basically. And that is exactly what happens. Elise and Chris are a third match. But, folks, that is the end of episode 3, so we don't know at this moment, at this hour, what our other matches are going to be for the night, and who is going to be left out in the cold of this round of dating. Who do you think is going to be left out once the music stops? Who's going to not have a chair?
I think. Oh man, this is tough. I think Tolu is going to be eliminated, and maybe Dominique.
Yeah, I think that would be weird. I think it would be weird for Dominique to be left out, but I think that might be what's happening here.
I mean, Chris matched with Elise, right?
So who do we have left? We have Xanthi. Mate, Xanthi is out there. I think still to be
Xanthi,
Dominique, Tolu,
and Alara.
Oh, Alara, yes.
And then the men that aren't matched yet are Steven and Dom hasn't matched with anyone yet, right?
Right. I can see Dom matching with Alara, maybe.
Yeah, I see that. And then Steven,
I can see Steven and Xanthi just staying the course and staying matched for now.
Yeah.
Even though they're not, really clicking like that. I could see them just being like, all right, let's get out of this round.
Because I could see Dom getting to Alara before Steven can. And then Steven's like, oh, shit. Okay, I'll stay with Xanthi then.
Yeah. So I think, you're right. Dominique and Tolu are probably going to be left out in the cold here. Which, honestly, the track record of Perfect Match makes a lot of sense, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's our coverage here, folks. The first 3 episodes of Perfect Match season 2. I think we're gonna have fun this season. I think the mess is messing. I don't see a lot of sparks yet. I just don't see a lot of couples that are actually really clicking in a way that they should. There's a lot of musical chairs going on. There's not. I think at this point last season, Joey and Carousel were just like attached at the hip. We could see them being a thing. Francesca had off the charts chemistry with everyone. And I'm not really seeing that level of chemistry yet with anyone this season at all.
Yeah, I which is what I'm here for. I'm here for the mess. I love it. I want the drama. I want the mess. It's everything to me. So this is great.
Yeah, 100%. Kirsten, you want to fill everyone in on what you're up to, where the people can find you, and how they can track you and stalk you on. Well, you're not
Oh
on
my
dating sites
god.
anymore, but if you were, how they could track you and stalk you.
Yeah, so if you are listening to this on the A Perfect Match feed, it is also being dropped on the Hot Dummies on Islands feed. And over there this week, there will also be coverage of Love Island USA, which premieres on Tuesday. So if you are a Hot Dummies on Islands person or you want to try more dating shows, come on over to the Hot Dummies on Islands podcast and check that out. As well, every week, myself and Sasha Joseph have a pop culture, celeb gossip, trending topics. Basically, if you've seen things online and you want to know why people are talking about it, come to Mess Magnets where we will break it all down for you. And you can follow me everywhere at Kirsten Said What, including twitch.tv/Kirsten Said What. Jason, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at JAYR1085. As far as podcasting goes, I was recently on the Survivor 50 Wishlist podcast with Mike Bloom. We talked about Survivor Africa. Had a great time talking about the Survivor Africa characters, who we want to see on the Survivor 50. So go check that out if that's your thing. Also, I started my own little podcasting venture called The Good Pod, where my co-host Marissa Garza and I talk about the shows of The Good Wife. The Good Wife and all of its spinoffs. We started our Good Wife rewatch journey. So if that was a show that you were into back in the day, come check out our rewatch podcast. It's a fun little thing we've been doing. So come check me out there. Other than that, you can find me and Kirsten here in a couple days as we talk about episodes 4 through 6 of this second season. So until then, we will see you next time. Bye.